Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about boosting in Arena. Specifically 2v2 and 3v3 Arena. How bad is it? If you look at Twitter, Reddit, any of these sites, people are really complaining about boosting being a huge problem and people not being able to climb any rating because of all the boosters that are in the game. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into this and look at the problem, how much of a problem is it, and what could be a nice fix to the problem that people are experiencing in arenas. Please, in the comment section down below, make sure to drop your solutions, some ideas. Let's get a little bit of a conversation going in the community, because if we have to wait until Blizzard fixes it, yeah, don't know. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So let's just take a look at what's going on here, right? These are the EU servers in prime time. It's 6:18 p.m. This is when everyone should be playing WoW, right? Everyone comes home from work. What do we see? Arena boosting. La la la. Rank 1. 1 to sell. 2s and 3s carry. 1 to sell. 1 to sell. Boosting 226 boomy. 2v2 arena boost. 1 to sell 2v2 boost. Here comes the interesting part though. I have been looking through luduslabs.org. They have really good statistics on WoW. So if you're ever looking for some statistics on how many people are still playing Arena or anything like that, hit them up. They're great. The data is really, really good. But for this research on how many people are actually boosting, they have a couple of parameters. Parameters? Is that an English word? I'm Dutch, so I don't know. Anyway, we will be looking at games in the 1400 to 1900 range. So these are the games that they have been tested, and this is also on Twitter and Reddit, the bracket that you hear people complain about the most. So that's important to know. Also, the definition of a booster they state here is that if you are playing more than 400 points apart from your maximum XP, you are a booster. So let's say you're a duelist experience and you are playing at 1700, you are deemed a booster. And then they look into how rampant is boosting, and all in all, let's just go through this really quick. They say these results suggest that around 10% of games between 1400 and 1900 feature someone who can be fairly identified as a booster. So about 10%. And you would say it's only 10% of your games, so that shouldn't really make a difference at all. But if you calculate it into how much would you actually have to win then if you lose 10% of your games to a booster, it becomes a little bit more interesting. That's data we can do a little bit more with. So let's do the math, right? So relax, sit back. This is not OTK schooled. No need to cheat or anything. I'm just going to tell you something. You don't have to act like you're smarter than you are. I did this calculus before I even started recording the video. So, I mean, I'm still cheating, but at least I look smart. So normally you would say 51% win rate is a climb in rating, right? Climb in rating. And if you stay at the same MMR, you win 51% of your games, you climb about 20 rating points a week. And normally you would say, okay, that's not enough, because if you look at how long a season lasts normally and you climb 20 points a week, then yeah, that's not really that great. Obviously, it depends on how many games you play then, and there's a little bit of a range in rating you can gain with 51% win rate. But if your MMR stays about the same, then you would climb about 20 points a week. And what that means is, to actually climb in rating at a steady pace, you normally would want about 55% win rate, and that would be a steady climb. You could climb about 100 points in a day if you play enough games, yada, yada, yada. So what happens then if you play 100 games and you lose 10 games lost to boosters? That means that you only have 90 games to play to win either those 51 or those 55 wins. Now, if we do the math on that really quickly, you would just have to divide the 51 divided by 90, or the 55 divided by 90. Now, I've done the calculus for this. I hope I still remember it right. This is about a 57% win rate, and this one is about a 61% win rate. So for just a minimal climb, you go from, so you have a 6% win rate gap. And if you want the steady climb, then you have about a... How much is that? 6% win rate gap. Okay, so this is what it actually means that there's 10% booster games. So it means you have to win 57% of the rest of your games. Obviously, I'm not saying you can never beat a booster team, because sometimes you can. But for the sake of argument, let's just say you lose all of them. Now, you can make your own mind up about this, but for me, this doesn't really seem like the biggest problem in the world. Sure, having a 57% win rate is already kind of tough. 61 is really good. If you have a 61% win rate, especially at higher rating, then you're doing really good. But it's not a day and night difference. It surely matters, but I don't think you would never be able to reach 1800 with this going on, where you were able to get it when this was going on. But enough about this, because this is just statistics, and this 6% gap would not nearly, it's not nearly in line with all the hate spewing on Twitter about people, everyone's a booster now and everyone's boosting. So what do I think is going on? Not so much the boosting in rating, but the boosting in gear. And now that's a whole different problem. So let's have a really quick look at gear and rating distribution, right? So under 1400, normally the average item level is 202. Between 14 and 1600 is 213. Then it goes to 220, 221, and 226. Now, keep in mind, let's just start at the lowest bracket. So between 0 and 1400 rating. What kind of gear would you be using here if you just dinged 60 and you're going to the arena? Normally, if I buy the 168 items, I can't buy a weapon at that item level. You're looking at about item level 165. Maybe you get your first legendary in your first week. You're looking at about 170. You do a couple of, well, maybe some mythic dungeons with friends. Let's say at the most in the first week, you're around item level 180. You jump into the arena, and the average item level is 202, with 25% of players having a higher item level than 211. If you ask me, this is what people mean when they say, hey, everyone's boosting, I can't win games, I can't climb rating. I think this is much more of a problem than the actual boosters that have more experience than anyone they're fighting. Between 1400 and 1600, it becomes even more funny. Because if you would have the 1400 and 1600 gear, right? Because for the sake of argument, I don't think there's anyone who is spamming about 600 battlegrounds when they ding level 60 in order to get the 197 gear. I don't think that happens at all. Between 1400 and 1600, you could say, okay, it's a little bit more normal for people right over in this bracket to have at least their full conquest set. Maybe they gathered it through RBGs, 3v3, I don't care. I think more people in this bracket would have their full set. But if they upgrade it to combatant, they have 207 gear. And the average here is 213, with 25% of the players having more than 220 gear. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I had item level 207, like I was supposed to have in this bracket, and the average item level is 213, it's so hard to win. Like, the gear is so important this season. I don't think any of us really expected the gap to be so huge. And what really saddens me with like the Ian interview is that if we talk about the gear gap, we're not really talking about, oh, there shouldn't be better gear for 1800. What we're saying is the difference between 200 item level at 0 rating and 226 at above 2100 is too fucking big. It should be like, let's say, for argument's sake, you wanted to have some disparity in gear between the brackets. Make it like, okay, so you want to end up with 226 at the highest rating, then just do, I don't know, 223 at 1800, you do 220 at 1600, at 1400 you do 216, 217, and then 214 at 0 rating. At least that way, you're not completely fucking useless when you just grab your conquest gear and go into the arena. Like, I love Arena. I don't want to do 600,000 fucking BGs before I can even get into any competitive side of the game, right? But I think loads of people agree with me on that one. But I would just really love to see Ian and other people from WoW, from Blizzard, acknowledge that this gap in item level is way too big. If I had to fight someone in 1400 to 1600, let's say at 1550, I fight someone with 220 gear, a full team, and I had 207 gear, like you should have in this bracket, I think I'd have a really hard time. Like, I've had a really hard time. I've played with people that have 2.7k XP on undergeared characters compared to who we're facing, and it's just a really hard time. And I think that's also why all the melee cleaves like Red Warrior are so prevalent, because it doesn't really take that much skill to play a comp like that. And obviously I'm one to fucking speak because I play BM Hunter now, but you know what I mean. So for right now, I want to shift the scope of this video a little bit more to the boosting, what people mean by boosting, coming from a really big gap in gear and something that we can do about that. So I was scrolling through Reddit like people do sometimes, and one of the posts I came across, and this is something I was thinking about earlier as well, stated that it was really weird how every PvE content gives you a vault reward that is higher than the highest thing you've done. So for example, for a mythic, if you do all your mythic dungeons, you get a higher item level drop from your vault than you would get from the end of any of the dungeons you've done. But in Arena, let's say you are playing at 1600, you would still get the 213 piece from the vault instead of a 220 piece. Now, my first reaction would be to change the vault for people who play Arena, so that if they are in, let's say in the 1600 bracket, 16 to 1800, they could at least get a 220 piece from the vault, because that way after a couple of weeks at least you're getting a little bit closer to the people that are in your bracket when it comes to the gear they have. Because as you can see, from 1600 onwards, people are in rival gear or up. So one of the counter arguments you could make was like, well, then everyone gets better gear. And that's true to a certain extent, but if you look at this, more than 25% of the people have over 223 gear anyway. So it doesn't really matter. You would just... The amount the bottom of this distribution goes up is much higher than where the top is already sitting. So I think that's something we can do. But obviously I'm not making this video just to talk to you guys about what I think we should do. I'm much more interested in just explaining the issue and having some people that understand the game from different sides kind of just weigh in on this. Like, how do we fix this? Because as long as the gear is based on a certain rating, I don't think we're going to stop the boosters. Because let's be honest, people buy WoW tokens because Blizzard fucked up the game by adding in WoW tokens anyway, just to get better gear. So if you can buy a boost for 5 WoW tokens for like 1 million gold, it's only $100. It's legal. Why not? I mean, for people that are like my age, I'm 26 by the way, and have a full-time job, and they just want to get the rating because they want bragging rights or whatever, $100 is not that much. I mean, it's a lot of money, but people do it anyway. So I don't think we're going to be able to stop that at all. If the gear gap was lower, I think it would incentivize boosting way less. Like, I would pay 1 million gold myself to get to 2100 at the start of a season, if that means that instead of item level, in the best case 197 from all the BGs, I actually can get 226 gear. That's such a huge difference that it warrants a boost like that. But let's say I would get 214 gear anyway, just from getting my conquest gear, around 214, 215, then I wouldn't ever want to pay so much money just to increase 11 item levels. Because I would know that I would be able to at least get the 1600, 1800, 2.1k myself. But if I came into a season late and I had to see, like, okay, I'm 180, I've got my legendary, I go into the arena and 25% of the games at the lowest of the low ratings are already above 210, then I might think about it. Let's be honest here. Because people don't pay money because they really want to pay money. They pay for boost because they don't see another option. Like at the point where actual PvP players, people that actually love Arena, are buying boost now. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Anyway, I'd like to leave it at that. I think I've said my piece. I'm already feeling myself being a little bit depressed by the state of the game. Don't get discouraged too much. Don't try to. At least I don't. I'm still playing PvP. But at this point, it's getting kind of grim. And without any of these issues being addressed in 9.1, I think it's going to be a really tough season again. Like, the brackets are dead now. And at this point, for the first couple of months of 9.1, it probably won't be as dead. But if the season has been going on for like 2 months, there really isn't any way for new players that haven't got the skill or friends to just clap people up until duelist, and they don't really have a place in the arena at all. And I don't think that's something Blizzard should want, and I don't think that's something any of us want. We want the game to be popular, we want the game to be good, and hopefully this video starts a little bit of a conversation about how we can at least ask Blizzard to change things so things will improve and things will get better. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you did like the video, please leave a like on it. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Eddy out.